welcome back to Inside Guelph. Well, I know we're all still on an Olympic high. I still have the bags under my eyes to prove it from all those late nights. Well, Dr. Phil McAllister here, wellness coach here. You're going to give us some tips on how to keep the Olympic high?
Well, it was an amazing experience, wasn't it? When you think about those 17 days in Vancouver, the emotions, it was just awe-inspiring for all of us as Canadians. And I think back, there was a lot of favorite moments. How did it make you feel?
Oh, it was exhausting.
It was exhausting?
It was, honestly. When I was so relieved to see the closing ceremonies. I don't think I've ever been so emotionally attached to an Olympics than this one.
And was there a favorite moment you had? One thing that really jumped out?
Actually, clearly it has to do with me. My favorite moment was being in the kitchen, and my 7-year-old was watching some curling. He's never curled before. We've never watched curling before. And I heard him say, "Oh, they got around the guard." And he had already known the lingo, and he was that was awesome. Yeah.
That is amazing.
Yeah, that was cute. How about you?
I really have to say the most inspiring moment was last Tuesday night when Joanne Rochette stepped up, and under all the emotional obstacles that she had to go through with her mother's death, it was truly inspiring. Yeah. It was one of those things that I don't think there was a dry eye in Canada that night. And it was just one of those things that really changed the momentum of the entire games.
And I think it really highlights for people who compete in athletics in any form to really understand the mental strength that these athletes have. It's not just physical. And I think when it gets down to the moment, it's probably 90% mental at that point.
You got it. You hit it on the head, and I've had the privilege of being part of the medical teams with various Olympic Games over the years, and I've never seen anything like it as far as what happened in Vancouver with the emotions that Canadians had. And you hit that obstacle of most of the stress that we're under as far as athletes at that time and any part of the team is the psychological stress. Mm-hmm. And it is amazing that the most important part of the equation out there is the sports psychologist. By far. Any given athlete can win on any given day physically. It's just who's got the game together psychologically that day.
That's what it comes down to.
And that's where it all relates to where we look at improving our own health. If we can take on that attitude of become our own Olympian. You know, it comes down to attitude. It comes down to that do what it takes mentality against all obstacles. You know, it's setting those goals and being very clear as to your goals. So any one of those Olympians, you can wake them up at 3 a.m. out of a deep sleep, ask them what they want to do in their life, they'll tell you within a second exactly with clarity what their goal is. You know, if we could start living in that kind of energy, take on that emotion, and if you think of emotion, it means energy in motion. So if we start putting this into our own lives, taking that responsibility for our actions, being accountable for our own life, and just making sure that there is no blaming, complaining, or justifying anymore. It's just be like an Olympian. Do what it takes, pay the price, and then go take care of it.
Ooh, pay the price.
And it reminds me when I think of the opposite end of the spectrum, there's a man named Jimmy that I could think of that I was introduced to through a great mentor named Brian Tracy. And we all know Jimmy. You know, Jimmy's the kind of guy that works on a construction site, shows up on Monday at lunchtime there, and opens up his lunchbox, and Jimmy pulls out the sandwich, and it's a sardine sandwich. Oh, Jimmy hates sardine sandwiches. He wants to let everybody know how much he hates sardine sandwiches. You know, all the workmates have to understand that they've got something better than Jimmy, and nobody wants to trade with Jimmy. So all Jimmy wants to do is just complain about it, right? So of course, a couple days go by. The same thing happens on Tuesday and Wednesday. He pulls out sardine sandwiches out of lunchtime, reads the riot act to everybody. Oh. Finally, Thursday comes. Lunchtime rolls around. Jimmy opens up that lunchbox, and just as he's about to go off, because he's got another sardine sandwich, the foreman shows up and says, "Jimmy, look, you're upsetting everybody here. It's like, why don't you just tell your wife to make you something different?" Jimmy turns around and says, "Wife, I'm not married. I make my own sandwiches."
Oh my gosh, Jimmy. So sabotage.
And it really brings us back to the moral of the story. We all take responsibility for our own lives.
Mm-hmm. You design your own
outcome. We design our own outcome. So, change our attitudes, change our lives. We can all become the Olympian within by simply taking on that different attitude. Because most of our health problems that we see are stress related, psychologically based, in the aspect that we're not living to the true values of our purpose in our life.
Right.
We're taking care of low menial tasks day to day instead of working towards those goals that,
Well,
that give us
sometimes-
happiness and joy and peace of mind.
Yeah, sometimes like Jimmy, it's easier to complain than to actually find a solution.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Poor Jimmy.
Yeah. We all know
We
Jimmy.
all know
don't
a
we?
Jimmy.
Yeah.
We all have a Jimmy. Well, I would like to, I hope everyone is inspired and that we continue that feeling as long as we can, because we are the world record holders of the
That's
most
right.
golds ever at an Olympic Winter
It
Games.
can be life-changing for all of us, can it?
Yeah, I have to
Oh, yeah.
remember that. I volunteered at a kindergarten classroom and they were all gluing on how many golds we have won. It was so un-Canadian. It was
Totally.
awesome.
Felt
I was like,
good.
count it out loud again, kids. Good job. Well, thanks for being here, Dr. Phil. You are our Olympian with great health and wellness tips. I look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you. My pleasure always, Trish.